This is a Friday Shoes production. This is lesson 1.21 in our books on page 100. Our target is I can multiply rational numbers to calculate flux capacitor gigawattage and speed. Folks, this is a flux capacitor. And the flux capacitor needs 1.21 gigawatts to activate time travel. Now, if you remember, there's something else you need. That's right. You need a DeLorean, all souped up for time travel. And you'll need to get that DeLorean traveling at 88 miles per hour, if you remember the movie Back to the Future. So we're going to do some flux capacitor gigawatt calculations. Here's one. It says Doc's power supply is only producing 1/11 of the 1.21 gigawatts needed for time travel. How many gigawatts is Doc's power supply producing? Well, we're going to have to calculate using the numbers given here. This is only producing 1/11 of the 1.21 gigawatts. So to calculate that, we're going to take those and multiply because of means multiply in math. Now, if you remember, when we have a fraction and we have a decimal, we've been calculating by putting both of them into fractions. That's what we've been practicing. So we're going to take that 1.21 and actually change it into 1 and 21 hundredths. So we actually have 1/11 times 1 and 21 hundredths. But then we're also going to take this and change it into our improper fraction. So let's do that up here where we have more space. 1/11 times, now how do we do that again? If you remember, we take 100, we multiply it by the 1, and then we add on the 21. So that becomes 121 all over 100. Then we can look for factors on the top that go in on the bottom. Meaning, if you remember, 121 actually is 11 times 11. And I have an 11 on the bottom. So 11 goes into 11 one time, and it goes into 121 11 times. So we reduce before we multiply. So then when we multiply across, we actually are going to be multiplying 1 times this 11, and that'll get you 11 on top. And then you have 1 times 100, and you have 100 on the bottom. Now we have a fraction that has already been reduced, and if you want to write it as a decimal, you can write it as 0.11, and that would be gigawatts. Now let's see if you can do one here, a simple calculation. It says Barney McFly needed to generate 3/4 of the 88 miles per hour before he entered the Main Street area where the clock tower was located. How many miles per hour was that? Go ahead and stop the video here, try the calculation, come back and see how I've done it. All right, here we go. Same thing as last time. We have 3/4 of the 88, and that's what we're trying to look for. So we take the 3/4, the of is the multiply, and we take 88. Now how do we change 88 into a fraction? Simply by putting a 1 underneath it. So here is the calculation we're actually going to do. Let's look for some factors now. Anything on the bottom, share a factor with anything on the top. You can see that that 88 shares a factor of 4. 4 goes into 88 22 times, and 4 goes into itself 1 time. So there we are, we just reduced before we multiply. Now we have 3 times 22, which is 66, and we have 1 times 1, which is 1. And if you remember, when we have a 1 on the bottom, that means that it's just going to be a whole number, which is that top, 66, and in this case we're talking about miles per hour, so don't forget your label. There you go. Don't forget, for better understanding, you can always watch this video again, or you can read the examples in the book, or you can watch the personal tutor videos that come with our online textbook. And as usual, this has been a Friday Shoes production.